Hey there, Razorback fans. I'm Sydney Limmerhurt, and today I'm thrilled to bring you an exclusive behind-the-scenes glimpse into the life of a phenomenal athlete from the Arkansas Gymbacks. Get ready to meet Hailey Klein. But before we dive into her stories, let's take a moment to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Everett Auto Group. They're the driving force behind Buick's See Her Greatness campaign, celebrating the achievements and empowerment of female athletes. With locations in Benton, Bryant, and Rogers, the Everett Auto Group is all about supporting women in sports, and we are so thankful to have them on board. Now, let's get down to business. As your host for today's interviews and former Gymback myself, I understand the dedication and determination it takes to compete at the collegiate level. I'm excited to dive into the experiences and insights of Hailey, an incredible athlete who embodies the Razorback spirit. It's time to hear her stories and discover what makes her a true champion on and off the mat. So welcome, Hailey.
Thank you.
Could you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and kind of how you got started in the sport of gymnastics?
So I'm originally from Illinois. I'm from the suburbs of Chicago, so I'm about 30 minutes from the city. I started gymnastics as, I can't remember how old, but probably around the age of 3 or 4 in like the young classes with your mom, like the mom and top classes. And I think my parents put me in it mainly because I had so much energy, and so I needed to release some of that, and I would always be like swinging on the monkey bars at the park, or like flipping around in the grass, and so it was kind of, I just started it for fun, and then here we are now.
Yeah, it took you here. That's the same thing. I was flipping at my brother's soccer games, and they were like, oh, maybe we should put her in some classes, and then they were like, oh, she's good, she needs to compete. And then it changes your life at 3 years old. Could you share a little bit about why you picked Arkansas?
Okay, so I had a few official visits before I came to Arkansas. Arkansas was actually my last official visit. And I know it sounds cliche to like say that I knew it like when I first stepped foot on campus, but like I'd never been to Arkansas before, so I didn't know what to expect because like I just wasn't sure what to expect. And so when I got here, there was so much more than I would have ever expected to be on campus, and I loved everything about the facilities, the support system, and especially the coaches. That was one of my main reasons that I chose to come here. I connected really well with Jordan, Chris, and Kyla because they were like here when they were recruiting me, and I just knew that I wanted to have them be my coaches for the next 4 years.
Yeah, and I feel like everyone can relate. Midwest, Region 5 here. We're talking, no idea where Arkansas was either. And when you get off the plane and it's like cows and nothing else, you're like, oh no. But then you drive into Fayetteville and it's like, I had the same thing. I got this feeling of like, this is where I'm supposed to be. It's home. We had a different coaching staff, obviously, but your staff has done a great job at really creating a really good culture. Can you share a pivotal moment from your youth in club where you kind of realized, maybe I should try college gymnastics, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be dedicated to?
I'm sure there was lots of different moments, but one that I can think of off the top of my head would definitely be from when I was younger, probably like compulsory levels before I was an optional gymnast, like at level 7 and stuff. I would always look at the older girls in my gym and be like, I want to do what they're doing. I want to have the same assignments they have. And so I'd always somehow try to convince my coaches to let me try what they were doing. And so I think at that point, my coaches and I came to the realization of, okay, like she's serious about this, like she wants a challenge, and I think that sparked my passion for the sport because I was like, okay, like I can do these assignments that the older girls are having, or I'm able to work at them by doing drills and stuff, and I think that really motivated me because I knew that I wanted to be at that level one day, and also like watching girls on TV, I always was like, ooh, let me try that. I want to do that. So
and that's a really good segue to the next question. So like you said, you were once this little club kid looking up to the big girls, and then the girls in college that would maybe come back and visit the gym and stuff. But you're that kid now. So what do you want those young club kids and young Razorback fans to really remember about you?
I think something that I would want the young Razorback fans to remember about me would just be how passionate I am about this sport, and that like I'm willing to do anything it takes to help this program and do anything for the girls in this team, and be positive and have a good outlook on any challenges that are sent my way.
Again, I've said it the last 3 interviews that I've had with the freshmen, like your freshman class is just blown me away with how, proud you guys are to be Razorbacks and how hardworking you are. So I definitely already remember you guys like that. So I think young fans will do the same. Switching gears a little bit. So women's sports has become this big topic. Everyone watches women's sports.
Yeah.
And then you guys are just coming off hot at competing the national championship, and it was finally on ESPN,
Yes.
like everyone's watching. So with that comes social media, and of course we have the gymternet to worry about on top of it. How do you think social media can be used in the sport of gymnastics to really bring positivity and shed some really good light on the sport?
I think that social media, yes, there's negatives with like hate comments and things of people talking not so positively about different women's sports and programs, but I think that utilizing the positivity on social media of sharing our journey, sharing just anything that we have accomplished over the time that we've been at our programs or anything like that, I think that it really helps motivate younger athletes and the upcoming generations. And I think that continuing to use our platforms to show that not all the journeys are perfect, but being able to push through the challenges is definitely something that can inspire other younger athletes.
What advice would you have for anyone that, might be at a smaller school that's not getting the recognition that you guys are?
I would definitely just say don't give up. Keep sharing your story. Keep sharing moments of your career that are important to you and that you want to continue sharing and hopefully inspiring other athletes, because you make a difference, and no matter how big or small your following is, if you inspire one person, you're doing your job.
Yeah, I would agree. So let's talk a little bit about the national championships that you guys just competed at. Typically, I would ask what a standout moment from your career is, so you can also talk about that, but let's talk a little bit. What was that experience like, especially freshman year, to go as a team? Just everything, give a little bit of detail about it.
It was definitely a huge moment for me and the team and program as a whole. It was so exciting. Like, I can't put the moment into words of the feeling that I had when we, knew we made it there, but it was just, happiness, joy, excitement, and just the feeling of that all the time, hard times paid off, and that moment was so worth everything that I've been through in my past of gymnastics, and that it's a moment I will never forget, and I'm sure no one else on the team will either, because it was the first time we had ever made it to the Elite Eight, especially with this coaching staff. And I think that also plays a role into, that was one of my greatest moments or proudest moments that I have in the sport of gymnastics, to be able to experience the moment of qualifying to nationals and competing at nationals with my team just meant the world, because it the setbacks and everything that happened in the past, being able to push through that and make it there with my team. 2
quick fun questions. So do you have any sort of rituals, superstitions, or things you do before every meet?
I feel like I never really had them growing up, but now thinking about it, this past year, the practice before a meet, I'll use specific hairbands and I'll use them the next day at the meet. It won't be the same ones throughout the weeks or months, but it's whatever ones I used at the last practice before the meet, I'll use again the day of the meet.
Do you have anything that besides that you tell yourself, maybe you wobbled on a beam series, or the girl before you just fell? Do you have anything you kind of say to keep yourself in the moment?
Yeah, I think one of the big things that I do is definitely focus on my breathing, because that helps calm me down. But what I tell myself is usually okay, up until this point, I prepared as much as I could. And I think going into my practices leading up to the competition is mainly where my trusting myself comes into play, because I'm if I did everything I could at the practices and preparation, then in that moment I remind myself, okay, I've done everything that I can in my control, so go up there, do one more routine, just keep it normal, nothing more, nothing less. Reminding myself that I'm ready for the moment, I think that really helps calm me down and helps me trust myself throughout the routine.
Yeah, gymnastics is so mental that if you don't have those things, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Who was your first female athlete that you remember watching and looking up to?
Okay, I remember the 2012 Olympic team as a whole a lot because that was kind of the first memory of watching gymnastics that really motivated me, because I was at the age where I was like in gymnastics, but it wasn't like something that I was like fully. I was like about 7, I think, at that time in 2012. So it was like I was just kind of getting really involved in the sport, and so I remember being super inspired by the whole team, but specifically actually Jordan, because at that time I was kind of scared of doing skills. I was intimidated by the older girls, and I wasn't confident in my skills, and so going into competitions I was always like a little shaky on beam, for example, or going into a floor routine I just wasn't super confident because I was scared. And I remember watching her thinking how fearless she was. Like when I would watch her do a routine, it didn't look like there was like an ounce of fear in her, and that motivated me whenever I went back in the gym. I remember watching it when I got a little bit older too, like montages of the 2012 Olympics, and I was just really inspired, and I would remind myself throughout that time of being like, I was probably level 5 at the time, and now that I remember, like when I was a little bit older watching the replays of the Olympics, but reminding myself that I wanted to be like her and I wanted to be fearless, so that helped me as I gained skill in the sport.
Yeah. Last question. Again, we talked about it a little bit with social media, that there's always going to be something for someone to say. But how would you address and advocate for greater respect for your sport, and maybe address any haters that the team or the sport might have out there?
Yeah, I think that's always going to be something that we face and everyone faces in the world, especially with social media, because people can say things and not have to talk to you face to face, so it's easier to say negative comments. But I think for me, what helps me is like reminding myself that the negative comments aren't personal. It's a reflection of the person making them. So reminding yourself that it's not about you, and to almost ignore them or take them with a grain of salt, and just be able to know that if it's making you happy, then that's all that matters, and that's all that should matter. And yeah.
That's a very mature answer, because I was not in the same boat when I was your age. I was like, I want to respond, I want to say something, but like you said, you have to remind yourself that it's just a reflection on them. So, well, thank you. This is awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. That is a wrap for today's episode. I want to extend a massive thank you to the phenomenal Hailey who joined us today. Your stories are the heart and soul of our podcast, and your greatness truly shines through with every word. I also want to express my gratitude to the Everett Auto Group for continuing to promote the See Her Greatness campaign. With locations in Benton, Bryant, and Rogers, they're not just in the business of selling cars, they're champions of celebrating female excellence in sports. To my listeners, I can't thank you enough for tuning in and being a part of this empowering journey. Remember, you can catch up on all of our episodes and stay connected with the latest from Everett's See Her Greatness campaign by following us on social media. Until next time, keep believing in your greatness, keep striving for your dreams, and keep celebrating the incredible achievement of women in sports. This is Sydney Lemmerhurt signing off.